years. So yeah. What I'm lecturing about today is I'm going to be talking about family, SBC, and personal spring. So if you think about what is family, when you think of the word family, you think of a group of people who will love you and they'll welcome you with open arms and they'll accept you no matter who you are. So I know like a lot of us in this room don't come from perfect families. Like a lot of us have broken families. You don't have good relationships with your siblings or your parents. And I know how that feels because I also have a broken family. So like I just know that I want you guys to know that you're not alone because there are people, because no one has a perfect family. So yeah. For example, with me and Wilson, like you guys see me and Wilson, we get along well. Like a lot of people are envious of my brother and I's relationship because it seems like it's so good. But then, to be honest, in the past, my brother and I, we didn't like each other. We hated each other. We got into like physical fights, and like we fought so much that our mom like gave us knives to kill each other, but we never did it. But yeah. So like a way how my brother and I's relationship got better was that we at Lumos 3, which was one story. I shared my story, and I told how I was sad that my brother wasn't there for me. Like he didn't act like an older brother. He didn't care for me. And he really kind of rejected me back then. But after I told him that, I guess he felt really bad and he started crying. And then now he's there for me. He acts like an older brother, and he's like very protective, sometimes too protective. So yeah, because I opened up to my brother and I told him how I felt, he's now there for me. So yeah. That's why I recommend, because I know a lot of people in this room don't have good relationships with their siblings. Like either you guys are only child or you like just don't talk to your siblings. I recommend you fixing that because like they'll be there for you if you like open up to them. And like a parental example, like my mom and I, we don't get along very well. Like we fight a lot, and she like always like puts me down. She like lowers my self-esteem basically. So, but there are rare times that my mom and I get along. Like there's times that she'll like say sorry for being mean and stuff like that. But then I can also understand why she does that because she's a single mother. She's raising 2 college students, so it's hard on her like financially. So, like a way you can rebuild your relationship with your parents is to understand where they come from. They have to go to work, they wake up early in the morning, they have to support you in your school, in your studies, and worry about you. So yeah, you have to understand where they come from. But then your parents also have to understand where you come from, like how you have to deal with school and like pressures from society and like relationship problems. Like sometimes parents don't understand that. So after realizing all this, I realized I should be nicer to my mom. Like, I should ask her simple questions like, oh, how's your day? And like, oh, are you okay today? And like, ask her simple questions because I don't ask her those questions, so it seems like I don't care about her. And she says that sometimes, and I do care for her, but I just don't express it because it's very awkward to talk to your parents sometimes, and I understand that. Like referring to Dawn's lecture from 3 weeks ago, he talked about the boy named Yonda who was abandoned by his parents and how the village took him in and takes care of him and such. And I want you guys to know that if you don't have a family at home, you have us here at SBC to take care of you. We're that village to take you in if your parents aren't there for you. So like, if you don't have a family to go home to talk to, you don't have siblings, just know that we're always here for you. We'll welcome you with open arms. So, an example where SBC has been there for me was an example where this one night my brother wasn't home, and it was just me and my mom, and he was out with some other SBC people, and then, like, I remember I did something pretty bad, but I knew I did it wrong, but my mom, she put me down for it. She, like, said the worst things to me, like, she says pretty bad things to me, like, she called me worthless, and, like, I'll end up on the streets and stuff like that. But then she took it to another level by saying that she regretted having me and my brother, which like hit me, like it felt like worthless to her. Like I felt like I was a mistake. So yeah. Like because she said those things and then like she hit me and like all that stuff. I tried calling my brother, but then he didn't pick up his phone. So I called Joe and then to ask where Wilson was, because Joe was there too. And then Joe was kind of out of it, so he told me that Wilson was passed out, so I was like, okay, whatever. I was like, I cried a lot. Like, that was like one of the worst nights I ever cried. And then I remember Wilson calling me back. Like, I saw Wilson call me back, and I picked up, that was Gang instead. And Gang, like, he just wanted to let me know that my brother's okay, and he's just sleeping, like, he passed out. I was like, oh, and I was like hella crying. Like, I was hyperventilating on the phone, and then Gang was like, Kristine, are you okay? Are you okay, Kristine? And I was like, no, and I like hung up on him, because I didn't really want to talk to him at that moment. So yeah. And then I remember a couple minutes later, Kevin called me. And then like out of nowhere, I didn't know he even had my number, but he called me. It's true. But yeah, he called me and he asked me, he sounded really worried for me. Like, he said, Kristine, are you okay? Talk to me. Like, what's wrong? And stuff like that. But I didn't really want to talk. And I said, no, I don't want to talk. And he's like, Kristine, you should talk to me. Like, we're SBC, we're family, and stuff like that. Just like the fact that he called made me feel better, because at that moment I didn't really care, because I didn't really process it. Because I was still crying, I was like out of it, I didn't want to talk to anyone. But then after I finished crying, like I realized that although I don't talk to Kevin much, I'm not like his close friend or anything, but the fact that he took the time to call me, it means a lot. It shows that he cared. So yeah, even if you don't realize it, a lot of people are here for you that you don't know. Like, we're here for you. So yeah. And another example I want to use is a metaphor. Like, for example, I know in order, metaphorically, for a building to be strong and tall, it has to have a good support base, and that support base is supposed to be your family. But then I know a lot of us, like I said, don't have a family there to support you. So, like, I want you guys to remember that SPC is to be that support base for you. Because if the building does not have a good support base, the building will fall. So I really want you guys to open up to each other and, like, know that we're there for you. Like, for example, I know a lot of people in SBC have, like, problems, and we come to each other, like, Trinity, Ben, like, we always come to each other for help. Sorry about that. But, yeah, I remember, like, a lot of you New Year's don't know who Tai is, but Tai, he founded SBC. Tai, like, the last thing he told us before he left was that once you're in SBC, you'll always be in SBC. Like, if you leave, we'll always welcome you back with open arms. Like, for example, the one who, he was supposed to be a second generation of SBC, which was Gang's year, but then he left. But then a couple years later, he came back this year to help us. See? So, if you leave, SBC will always welcome you back, because SBC is your family. So, also going into about spring, like, I know, like I said, I know a lot of us have struggles, like we go through a lot of problems. We have family problems, relationship problems, trying to do well in school, meeting your parents' expectations and such. And I know a lot of kids don't like to talk about these problems because they don't want to open up, because they don't want to seem weak or vulnerable, and some people have trust issues. And just know that we understand these troubles, because most of us have been in your shoes. We're older than you, so we know how you feel, basically. And I know, like, since you guys don't like talking about these things, you guys tend to bottle it up, and bottling up doesn't help you in any way at all, because in the end, it'll just affect you badly. But yeah, bottling up doesn't help you at all. Like, from personal experience, I don't like talking about how I feel, so I usually bottle things up, and it doesn't help you at all. Because there have been many times where I had mental breakdowns and I would, like, cry, and there were times I really wanted to give up. Like, but you have to be strong. Because at the end of the day, being strong is the least thing that you can do for yourself. Like, briefly about my past, like, those who went to Lumos last year kind of know what happened, but, like, when I was a kid, I was sexually abused, and then years passed by, and then my grandparents died, and they were the ones who took care of me rather than my parents. After they died, my parents divorced, and then I went through high school, and there were lots of drama throughout high school, so yeah. My life has been very difficult, and there have been times I actually did want to kill myself, but I didn't. because I am strong enough to get over those obstacles. That's why I want you guys to know that it's not worth it. You have to be strong, because being strong can be the fine line where you pick up and not kill yourself or do drugs or do whatever, or you can make something positive out of that negativity. So you can either take your problems and let it shape you into a better person, or you can take those problems and let it affect you and you can go down the wrong path. So don't let your negative experiences affect how you are today. Grow from them. Like for me, like all these bad things that happened to me, I personally grew from them. Like I accepted them. I know it's my past and I can't change it, but you have to let yourself know that because that happened, you shouldn't have to let that happen again, or you grow from it and you know what to do different because you learn from your mistakes. So another thing I wanted to let you guys know is that you also have to learn how to forgive and forget, because if you hold on to that grudge, you won't grow from it. And briefly talking about Ben last year, he was going through a really hard time since like he had relationship problems, and he'd always come to me for help, and I give him good advice. And then I remember I made him a card, and I painted it. It was like a raining background with a cherry blossom tree on it, and it was like very bright. And I wrote the quote, "Even the most beautiful things grow in darkness." So even though you have like a hard time, you go through like lots of crap, you can grow from it too. So you shouldn't let that affect you. You have to get up when you fall down. And I'll show you guys this one.
And it's a pleasure to be with you. So I have no limbs, but I have a little chicken drumstick. And
it's too bright. Right.
So it's like
okay.
But honestly, the only way you might slow down is like this. Ready?
That's so bright.
So what do you do when you slow down? Get back up. Everybody knows to get back up, because if I'm not walking, you're not going to get anywhere. But I tell you, there are some times in life where you fall down. You feel like you don't have the strength to get back up. Do you think you have hope? Because I tell you, I'm down here, face down, and I have no arms, no legs. It should be impossible for me to get back up, but it's not. You see, I will try 100 times to get up, and if I fail 100 times, if I fail and I give up, do you think that I'm ever going to get up? No. But if I fail, I try again, and again, and again. But I just want you to know that it's not the end. It matters how you're going to finish. Are you going to finish strong? And you will find that strength to get back up, like this.
Reviewing over that video, I can't pronounce his name since it's so Russian, but it's like really hard to pronounce. But he was born without arms or legs, and he's now a motivational speaker. Like he said, he's talking about how even if you fall, it's not impossible to get up. Like him, he's born without limbs and legs, and he still was able to get up. So you guys should be able to do what he does. If you fall, you should get back up. It's not the end, like what he said.
Okay, so let me wrap things up a little bit, right? So you heard the whole entire thing what Kristine talking about, but I want to incorporate in a little of faith. I share a quick story about myself. Probably when I was like 23, 24, or 25, something like that. Too long to remember. I broke up with my first girlfriend, and I was devastated. To be honest, I was devastated. I dated for that person for like 4 years, and that person ended up cheating on me, you know? And it sucked, you know what I mean? And it's hard. It's hard. I know it's very hard to go on with life sometimes, you know? And then I got my business failed. You know, I was locked in my room for like every time I go to work and go home, I locked myself in my room like from 6 to, I didn't sleep until 2 o'clock. And then there's one time I actually like really want to commit suicide. Because it's so hard, you know. But I think like how Kristine said earlier, if you have the foundation strong, that's what we try to build you right now, is to give you a foundation, not just about life, about girlfriend, about boyfriend, no, that's automatically gonna happen. But you need to build your foundation that you have God inside of you. That's why I sit there like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to God. Because I was so religious when I was younger. I was an altar server all my life. I was in the choir all my life. All I do is church and home. And I was happy. That time, I was happy. Until I get to college and start partying and, you know, because you tend to, you know, hang on the wrong person that you don't know. Because I didn't have a family, man. If I had SPCF family at this time, I wouldn't do what I do. But whatever I did, it doesn't matter. It's happened already. You can't turn back, right? But it shaped me how I am today. I use everything that my knowledge, whatever has happened in my life, I give it back. That's how you guys see sometimes I'm ghetto a little bit. Probably the most ghetto teacher I ever seen. But ghetto doesn't give me a bad person or a bad image. I'll try to give you the premise of God, of Jesus. That's why I do. One day I sit in my room, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back and serve the community. Bam! When I got back, so I met my wife. You see what I'm saying? God will give you love. Infinity love. It's just whether you want to come back and give out and make whatever that give you happiness. That's why I tell them, it's so hard nowadays for young people to have a commitment. You know that, right? Young people nowadays, it's so hard for their commitment. Because so many abstraction out there, you know? Party, going out with friends, blah, blah, blah. That's a lot of things. It's so hard for kids to make commitment, to be a teacher like I am. It's really hard. And I haven't seen it. Look, I see Name, Kristine, Joe, Andrew, you know, Trinity. If I miss anyone, you know, because they still had a good commitment. That's why they're still teaching. But a lot, I think, is so hard to make a commitment. Commitment is not like, oh, I'll go whenever I want. I see it's fun, I come. If it's not fun, I can't go. The reason I'm here today because there's someone before me taught me to make me the person I am today. And that's why I go back and give it back to y'all. Seriously. If not, I keep it to myself. I'm done, I'm good. I don't care about y'all. So that means what? You only take in, you don't give out. I just call you selfish right now. That's a better name. You know what I mean? So I see that in reality, Kristine, Like Kristine, I think it's hard for her to step up and talking, right? She's still holding the paper. But she take all that to give back. She want to share her moment, her life. You know what I'm saying? To you. You know, to open up to you, to see it. Like me, I don't care. You want me, you want my heart? I'll open up for you. If you that help you, I open up for you. And that's how Jesus was dying for us. That's all about it. That's why when the hardest time I did, the reason I came back, I have my cross in my room. I look at him. I look at Jesus. That's why it's Kristine that she did everything that in a normal human life does. But have you ever thought about looking at the cross and get over the hardness? Why don't you try that sometime?